All right, well, we're back to discuss The Force Awakens, and if you watched our review, our review, the one without the spoilers, we said very little except it was good, has things in it, and they were fun to see. So now we get to talk about the spoiler stuff.
Yay.
Han Solo dies.
You bastard.
He goes straight to it. Man, I hope that was enough time for people to tune out. So
you can just bleep it. Just kind of have the...
So, first and foremost, this is Episode 4, A New Hope, Mark II. It is a remix of the first Star Wars movie.
I feel like that plus Jedi, because there's definitely like... Yeah, he took the best of both and was kind of...
With an Empire ending.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like,
It was...
I was like watching like scene for scene almost.
The first half was
just okay. She's Luke. Okay, he's Obi-Wan. Okay, he's like they'd sort of flip characters around and mix it up a little bit, but it was very much setting all of that stuff up. The one thing that I had heard that I thought was really cool before going in to see the movie was that what got J.J. Abrams interested in the project, because he really didn't want to do it after Star Wars and Mission Impossible, and he was like done with sequels. But he had this conversation where they kind of came up with the notion of, you know, it's been 40 years since the original Star Wars movie in that world, and that so now there's like, you know, 19 and 20-year-old people who don't know those stories, and like the idea of rediscovering that stuff through the eyes of these characters that are also rediscovering it within their world, he thought was a really interesting story. And so you see that play out with Rey and with Finn as they're kind of discovering, like, oh, the Force is a real thing and Jedi's a real thing. And
so in that sense, almost like a subtle reboot.
Yeah,
but also a full continuation.
Yeah, it's the, what do they call it? The remake or whatever it is.
Well, it does a nice thing for, like, you can show and not tell.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like the prequels did a lot of telling and everything. They were going to show out every little dispute of the trade, you know, all that stuff. But no one really cared about a Star Wars. We're going to tell this whole story, every single word of it. And this is like, no, we're just going to show where the world is now.
Yeah, we never had two characters walking in a straight line.
Yeah, talking about the history of everything that just happened.
Yeah. The beautiful thing that this movie had going for it was, with episode 1, 2, and 3, we knew where it was going to end up. In this one, it had that feeling of anything could happen again. And I absolutely loved that. And with Han dying, that was just... That was... I knew somebody was going to have to bite it, but it could have been anyone. And when it happened to be him, it hit just as hard as it would have with anybody.
Yeah, I mean, I don't... I mean, I guess there's I can see people watching the movie and not realizing that he's going to die.
I had no idea.
Me either.
I haven't been watching anything about it other than I watched the 2 trailers online. I was like, cool, okay, I'm going to stop looking at stuff for Star Wars.
Right.
Yeah. By the time that it happened, like, it was pretty obvious to me, just because he's the one we spent the most time with of the original cast.
We walked down the catwalk and I was like, oh,
yeah,
I don't like where this is going.
But, like, I mean, as, like, we got, like, 3 or 4 scenes with Leia tops, like, just a couple, and they gave us, like, a little bit of the backstory of, like, why they're not together anymore, and those sorts of things, and, like, all of that stuff makes sense, and you get it, and it really just does leave it to where, like, the most that you can ask for from a Star Wars movie, I think what you know, because most people like The Empire Strikes Back the best out of all of the movies, especially now that they can just put The Return of the Jedi in and watch it as soon as they get done with The Empire. I think the best thing that can happen in a Star Wars movie is it leaves you wanting more.
Yeah.
And this does that.
Yeah.
It has a satisfying ending, but it also has a literal fucking cliffhanger. And it, just like
There's plenty of questions still need answered.
there's plenty of questions. We've got plenty to see Leia still do. We've got plenty to see
She's
Luke
going to be
still
the general
do.
leader. Yeah, she's going to be the new Mon Mothma and do all the,
Yeah.
There were also
leady general stuff.
little things that I found interesting, like Luke's hand, the one that was replaced. It looked very bare bones, like what has happened to him in the meantime, and it gets me so amped about episode 8. God knows it's going to be years before we see
It won't be.
that.
It's Disney.
Yeah, it just looked more
Yeah,
articulated.
Yeah.
It just looked like, I don't know that it looked more bare, but
Well, it looked a little stripped down.
It might have been a new one for all we know.
Yeah.
Well, I think if I had one thing
we're
with
in
the
another one
movie,
in 2 years.
yeah, they're gonna march it out like Marvel. They're gonna have all their money. I mean, this is Disney's new honeypot. They're gonna.
It's literally.
They're gonna have a Rogue
I
Squadron
do.
movie next year.
Right.
They?
Yeah.
There's going to be a Star Wars
shooting
movie
it right now.
There's
Right.
like
There's
Rogue
going to be
One.
a Star
Which
Wars
I'm
movie
super excited
every
about.
year for the next
Because
6 years.
the Poe guy was awesome,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, he was very charismatic. I was
He's the
really
new sexy
excited.
Han.
Like
He's
your
a new
general
pilot.
characters are pretty strong. In the new ones, there's not a Jar Jar.
Yeah. The only disappointment I have with the whole movie, and it's a minor nitpick, but one thing I've always loved about Star Wars is the music. And they played it really safe with this one. There was not a lot of new. I didn't feel like maybe I'll go back and listen to it and catch them. But even when I walked out of the prequels, which I had fun watching them, but you walked out of the prequels and you're like, I want to go home and find the track for the duel. In the
choral
first
stuff.
one, I want to go back and find the track for.
To be fair, that's the best song in Star Wars
Right,
history, but like I didn't have that feeling from episodes 2 or 3.
No, but there was songs like I really like. There's themes that stood out for characters, and I didn't feel
Right.
like characters like when characters came on the scene, they didn't have themes that. And maybe I'll go back tomorrow and feel different about it when I go listen to it. But I didn't feel like there was as many strong themes. They were playing it safe. You wanted to hear the themes that everyone already knew.
Yeah, I
It's
agree.
to hit that
And the new
nostalgia.
stuff was just generic kind of.
and then the new stuff was kind of generic. Just move the scene from here to here type music.
Yeah, I think some of the stuff that they were doing with the music cues was more about like sort of resetting you with the new characters. Like they play Luke's theme
Yeah.
at Rey a couple of times.
Yeah.
They also play, and I thought this was interesting, the Han and Leia love theme.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Only gets played that one time, and it's when
Yeah.
Rey comes back and hugs Leia, like after Han is dead.
Yeah.
Like that's the only time that they use it, and it's like this tiny little thing. But in the trailer, it's like they give it the big like sweeping
Right.
version.
Yeah.
So
One of my favorite things of the movie was the lightsaber duels. They didn't have the flips and CGI fest.
It was more like the old
jumps and
school ones.
everything that episode 1, 2, and 3 had. It was just straightforward, two people out there dueling.
yeah,
Well, no one's a Jedi Master fighting. Everyone's like, I get the feeling that, I forget his name now already.
Kylo Ren.
Kylo Ren, the only thing he uses lightsaber for is throwing a tantrum and slashing up computers and,
Yeah.
expensive Imperial equipment.
Yeah, like you really get the impression for like because John Boyega's character like holds his own against him in
Yeah.
a lightsaber duel, and you're like, really? And then Snoke is like,
Yeah.
he needs to come back and finish his training. It's like, yeah, he does.
Yeah, he's totally skipped that.
He
Yeah.
sucks. He can't beat a guy who doesn't have the Force and just got a lightsaber for the first time like 3 seconds ago.
Yeah, right.
You suck.
And I want to know what that weapon the stormtrooper is holding that holds its own against a lightsaber, even if someone's apparently an amateur using it. That the stormtrooper that was kind of a fun scene, but
Yeah, it was like some kind of
like
electronic
force field, yeah.
electric field thing that they were using. And you would imagine that like somebody would make that. Like somebody would make a technology that could like withstand a direct lightsaber hit.
How long have these things been around and no one's heard it out in thousands of years, but, a Stormtrooper carries it.
Yeah.
Especially with...
That's going to sell some toys.
You're creative with the idea to stomp out the Jedi.
Yeah.
You figure that would be the first thing built.
And there will be angry comments about all of that.
The new Death Star. I thought that was an interesting choice of name as Starkiller.
Yeah, it was Starkiller base.
Yeah. It was a beast.
But it was just a bigger Death Star, like Han Solo said. It's like, so it's big.
It was the same exact thing. They
Just
pretty
bigger.
much attacked an exhaust port.
They're really hung up on that whole concept. The
Yeah,
Empire
well,
is
they
really-
even showed you a Death Star that says, but this is even bigger. Look how much bigger this is. It's like,
Yeah.
okay.
That I felt
We
like
need a new-
was kind of the weakest scene in the whole. I know they were trying to hit that. It's the only thing where I felt like he really missed. There was a lot of things where he was.
That was one of those
very,
checkbox moments.
very subtle, kind of looking back to the movies. He would set up the scenes, but that scene there was just like, all right, they literally just took, the first movie and the third movie, not the first, 4 and
4 and 6.
4 and 6, the little, battle room scene. And I was like, everyone's like, yeah, we can do it. We're a team. Go, blah blah blah. And I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
That felt really kind of forced.
Yeah.
But it wasn't
No
like...
pun intended, right?
Oh.
It's like the Poe character is not... Like, they're not sending Luke and Finn... Yeah,
Right.
I mean, Luke and Finn. They're not sending Rey and Finn out there. It's like, Rey is a great pilot now, apparently.
Right. Apparently, yeah.
And... so it's not like, again, it's like it's play and mix them up with the characters, and they like, instead of having Han and Luke take out the Death Star, it's like they combined Han and Luke together into this new character called Poe, and he takes out the Death Star, and that kind of happens off on its own. But that character too is like, I feel like J.J. Abrams is like Santa Claus for whoever the next director is, because he just put all of these
He
great...
put out some cool new toys.
Yeah, all these great people in place. Like, we know almost nothing about Poe. We just know he's cool.
Stay tuned for next summer when Rogue Squadron comes out.
Right.
Or whenever that comes out.
And we don't know anything about, Phasma at this point. Like, we
Yeah.
got very little of her, and...
What happened to her?
She's a cool
They
toy.
didn't
You
ex-
can
They were
buy.
gonna
They
put her
didn't
down the
explain.
garbage chute or something, but
They-
I don't know what happened.
They didn't explain what happened to her.
She got put in the garbage chute.
And I'm more interested.
Or the compactor.
Or the compactor, yeah.
Because he said they had one.
I guess I'm most interested in who Rey is, what her background is. We know that
Yeah.
she was almost like Luke and Leia were separated when they were young, and she's got something similar going on with that. Remember the memory flashback she had and whatnot? She was a kid that was separated from her family,
Yeah.
just like Luke was.
I want to know more about that scene where it shows who we presume to be Luke touching R2-D2, and then there's like dead people all around, and there's Kylo Ren and a small group of what I would assume are his little legion of troopers attacking probably where they did the Jedi training. I want to know more about
I think that was a flashback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what they were showing was Luke putting the map into R2 before he left, and Kylo Ren turning against Luke, which is what made Luke go away.
Yeah. Well, I know that, but
Which
I'd
is
like
a nice
to,
homage to the EU, which they totally jettisoned, 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Because that's very much like, I like that he's like, all right, we're not going to be tied down by all this EU stuff, but we'll throw you a bone. Like, we'll throw Jedi Academy in there. Because it's essentially what happened with a different character. I can't remember his name, but they did keep some of the themes.
Rilo Ken.
well, I mean, like,
It is now.
it pulls from Children of the Jedi and Jedi Academy. It was a good reach out to those fans who were disappointed.
Did you catch what Kylo Ren's real name is?
Ben?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know who else had that name?
Kenobi. Huh. So they named him after him?
I think so.
I'm sure it's a total coincidence.
Yeah.
I missed that, but that's a good point.
Probably an accident.
Yeah.
Huh.
Spoilers.
Right. You're gonna get so many angry comments about so much of that.
Thanks for watching this video. If you like the way we do these, please like the video, subscribe, check out all the written and video reviews at dalemaxfield.com, and thanks for watching.